Okay, we're moving on to the second debate now for the presidential primary. The four candidates will be asked, the format for this debate will be very similar. The one difference between this debate and the last is that there will be four questions per candidate instead of three, and there will be a little bit more time that candidates will have to be able to answer the questions. They'll receive 2 minutes and the opportunity to be able to answer the question for 2 minutes. Other than that, the format is essentially the same with 2 rebuttals, 1 follow-up question, and opening and closing statements. We'll again move in alphabetical order for the opening statements, so we'll begin with President Mark Ciavola.
Thank you. First, let me say that it has been an honor and a privilege to serve as your student body president for the last year. When I ran for election last year, I made a series of promises to the student body at UNLV. Those promises included fixing student government, changing the way we spend money, reducing our salaries, focusing on events that promote community on campus and impact as many students as possible, shifting funding away from places like the Rebel Yell, which should not be funded by a governmental source, trying to save students money and be more efficient with their money, but also trying to find new ways for CSUN to outreach to students, better involve student organizations, increase scholarships, focus on parking policies, fight to keep tuition and fees low, and I'm happy to say that we've accomplished everything we set out to do. That makes me a bad politician, but I think it makes me a good student body president. Very happy to say that by taking a 25% pay cut and shifting around some of our revenues, we were able to save students $250,000 while increasing scholarships by $50,000, adding a summer textbook, research and development, and non-traditional student scholarship, and I'm currently writing a scholarship for veterans and active duty military with a focus on single parents. We stopped weekend parking enforcement. We have parking permit fees remaining the same until 2015. We were able to stop a $6 per credit athletics fee. We were able to have mandatory health insurance as a condition of enrollment pulled from the Board of Regents agenda. And we were able to pass campus-wide Wi-Fi, a $500,000 proposal that benefits all students without using a single dollar of their student fees this year. I believe that all of this, combined with my experience and my relationships with the UNLV administration, the Board of Regents, and the state legislature, make me the only qualified candidate for this position in this election. Thank you.
Thank you. Second opening statement will be Mr. Cole Turner.
How's it going? My name is Cole Turner. I'm obviously running for student body president out here. Throughout my time at UNLV, I've worked in CSUN for the past year as an assistant director, or not the past year, but this current school year, in the campus life under John Jersey Goldman. One of the big things that I'm running on and pushing for if I am elected as president of the student body would be for a better campus life on campus. A better community for everyone. We are a commuter school and there's no way of changing that in a year or over how many ever years we will all be here. But we will be able to better benefit everybody who is coming to this school and give them reasons to stay on campus. And that is one of the things that I will be pushing for. Thank you.
Thank you. The third opening statement, Ms. Von Vu.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited to be here, to speak to you today about my platform and why I want to be a student body president. My vision for this year is going to be I want to represent the students, campus-wide, and especially at Nevada Board of Regents meeting and Nevada Student Alliance meetings. And also I want to increase, CSUN outreach and enhance, campus and college life, for all students, because I think that our students deserve the best, and I think that our students need more campus life. Thank you.
Thank you. The final opening statement is from Mr. Roy Windsor Jr.
Hello, everybody. My name is Roy Windsor Jr., and as you know, I'm running for student body president. My main platform is for the students, by the students. And when I say that, I have been going to almost every student I see on campus, talking to them, seeing what their needs are, seeing what they want, seeing what they wish CSUN could provide for them. I think a lot of candidates go into this with a set vision and a set amount of goals that they want to accomplish. And I feel like that's one of the main problems that we see in candidates. You can't really go into CSUN with, I want to do this, this, and this, because I think that's wrong. You need to actually understand what students want and what students need. We're student government. We're not Roy's government. We're not anybody else's government. So my main thing is just to talk to you guys, get to know what you want to need. I mean, well, you know what I mean. And pretty much just represent you the best way I can. And I think serving in CSUN for 2 years now under 2 different executive board administrations, I've had a lot of experience and I've dealt with a lot of power changes. And I think I'm the person equipped to pretty much go into this and change CSUN for the better and make it more about students and not more about government. I think it's a lot of politics played into this, and I think that's one of the main issues with CSUN. It needs to be a fun environment that provides a lot for students, and all the money that you're spending for us needs to go back to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now have a series of 4 questions. Each candidate will answer all 4 of the questions. There will be an opportunity for rebuttals after every person has finished with their answer. So the first question will be addressed to Mr. Cole Turner. The question for you is, how, as student body president, do you plan to act as a representative of all students from diverse ethnic, socioeconomic, and political backgrounds?
Well, you act as the student body president of all students by going out and being involved with all students and not focusing on one specific group, or even worse, focusing on just what you and your Senate want or you and yourselves. Every person inside of student government should be responsible for going out and meeting their students, the people they're representing. And as a student body president, I would be doing that by going out and meeting people. One of the greatest things I've heard of in student government was taking people out to lunch to hear what they want to hear. That was a great idea that I really thought was a good move by Mark, and I appreciated it, and it really gets more opportunity for you to hear what students are doing. And so as a student body president, I would like to continue things such as that, as taking students out to lunch or going into their classrooms and meeting them, or just as simple as talking to them on your walk to your next class. It's something that you are able to accomplish through meeting with different groups of people and not focusing on one, and that is how you represent everybody, is you have a broad spectrum of people that you talk to.
Okay, very good. And Ms. Vu, same question to you. How, as student body president, do you plan to act as a representative of all students from diverse ethnic, socioeconomic, and political backgrounds?
Thank you. You know, I totally completely agree with Cole, and I think that, you know, we want to be able to go out there to do various events and, you know, pretty much not waiting for students to, you know, come to us and say hi. Like, we need to be the person that reach out there and say, hey, like, is there any concerns that you have, like, you know, that we can fix for you? And I was thinking of, you know, not only that we go out there for events and going to talk to organizations in their meetings, I think that it would be a great idea for us to have a Dropbox for mails, you know, or not like for physical mails, but emails also for students to be able to be like, hey, this is going on right now at our school, and I think that we need to change it, or how can you help us to change it? And I think that would be a great idea for us to represent the students, because we know what's going on at school. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The question to you now, Mr. Roy Windsor Jr., is how, as student body president, do you plan to act as a representative of all students from diverse ethnic, socioeconomic, and political backgrounds?
I think student body president should be the most social person on this campus. You need to be able to go out there and talk to any student, build a relationship with them, make them feel comfortable to come to you. Because if you don't have that relationship with those students, then you're really not going to get any good positive feedback. You're just going to get the same feedback from the same amount of people that already have that relationship with you. If I do get elected student body president, I will be out there every day talking to students, seeing what they need, seeing what they want. And I think a lot during election season, all of us have been going to different meetings, talking to a lot of students. That's the same momentum that you need to have throughout the whole year. You can't just do that for election season to get elected and then not do that as you're in office. Because if you look at that now, a lot of students haven't seen our current president anywhere until elections are coming around again. If I do get elected, I'll be that person all through the year, going to your meetings, talking to you, seeing what you want, seeing what you need, approaching you on campus, talking to you. The whole lunch idea is great. I love that. But you just have to always be there and just talk to your students, because you're a student body president. You're not just a president. Thank you.
Okay. And finally, President Civola, the same question to you. How, as student body president, do you plan to act as a representative of all students from diverse ethnic, socioeconomic, and political backgrounds?
Sure. Well, my plan for my second term would be the same as my plan for the first, because we've already done that in CSUN. The first thing we did was we moved the office hours of senators and other CSUN officials from the third floor of the student union, where students don't know where to find us, out to a marketing table, which is on campus daily, where we do talk to our students. And I'm at that marketing table almost every day. I've actually talked to thousands of students on this campus. I'm always on campus, and I'm always walking around. And one of my favorite things to do is talk to students, which is why I love campaigning so much. But I also love it when I'm not campaigning. It's great to hear that Cole agrees with my free lunch program. It's nice to hear that people value the work that we're doing in CSUN. 500 students have registered for the free lunch. I've taken more than 80 of them to lunch so far, and I do it with my portion of my salary so that it doesn't come out of student fees. It's my way of giving back. I've heard a lot on this panel so far tonight about improving campus life. And we have a director that handles campus life. That's not the job of student body president. And I was very happy last year to hire members of UNLV Athletics and members of UNLV Rebellion, such as Cole, to help us better partner on events like athletics events and events on campus, Parties in the PIDA, which is hugely successful. We have over 700 students at that event, which is triple what we had in the previous edition of CSUN. And so we really have been able to reach out to students. One area of CSUN that was underrepresented was within the Greek community. And I'm very happy to say that we made that a priority. We doubled the number of Greeks in CSUN. We launched a Greek caucus so we could discuss Greek-centric issues. And for the first time ever, CSUN is actually sponsoring Greek Week for $20,000. And I'm very happy that we have that partnership, because Greek life at this university is campus life, and it should be a lot bigger. And our student organizations are great as well. And our student involvement director has changed some of the ways we reach out to them, including co-sponsoring events with them and funding them in advance. So I would continue to do those things.
Thank you very much.
If I was elected, yes.
Okay, the second question, we will start with Ms. Von Vu. The second question is, an important part of being the student body president is networking with faculty, university administrators, the Board of Regents, and Nevada lawmakers. Please describe your current relationships with any or all of these groups, and describe how you as president would deepen and strengthen those bonds.
Ever since I've been filed for student body president, I have been reaching out to faculties and UNLV administration, and I have been going to Nevada Board of Regents meetings, and I have been to Nevada Student Alliance meetings, and I think that my experience with them is that they have been always so open and so responsive to what we have to say as students, and I think that with my experience, I can always improve, with the relationship with these faculties and members. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roy Windsor Jr., the same question to you. An important part of being the student body president is networking with faculty, administrators, the Board of Regents, and lawmakers. Please describe your current relationships with any of those groups and how you would plan to deepen or strengthen those bonds.
Currently, I have pretty good relationships with the UNLV administration, such as President Simatris and a lot of the deans of different colleges and different programs on campus. Pretty much serving in CSUN for 2 years, I've had a lot of interaction with a lot of faculty and staff, a lot of members of the community. Board of Regents, as far as that, I don't have very strong connections with them, but I think that's something that you gain as student body president. Obviously, our current student body president has very strong relationships with them because he has been serving the students this whole year. I think you can always improve relationships with people, just like your friends. You talk to them more and more, you getting closer with them. So during my term, if I do win student body president, I don't see that being any kind of problem for me. I'm a very social person, and I pretty much get along with anyone. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. The question to you now, President Sciavola. Important part of being student body president is networking with faculty, administrators, the Board of Regents, and lawmakers. Please describe your current relationships with any or all of those groups and how you would deepen and strengthen them if elected.
Sure. Well, when I first came to Nevada, I looked to get involved in politics because I'm a political science major. And in 2010, during the primaries in the election, the real election, I was able to go out and meet with over 100 candidates running for Congress, state Senate, state assembly. And because I went out and proactively sought out these candidates, I had relationships built with them when they won their office. And some of them who didn't win have now since won. And so I'm very happy to say that I have a strong relationship with more than half the state legislature. I have a good relationship with the UNLV administration. President Smatras and I have spoken frequently about the issues affecting students. I value the time that we spend together. I saw him today for lunch across the street when I took students over for Thai food is what they chose today. So, as far as the Board of Regents go, this is one of the most important relationships you can have as a student body president, and it's not something you can learn on the job. I've had these relationships prior to ever being in CSUN, and so when an issue comes up that affects students, I reach out to the Board of Regents. When mandatory health insurance as a condition of enrollment ended up on their agenda last week, I actually reached out to members of the Board of Regents to ask them, how's the board feeling on this? Is this really something they're going to vote on? This isn't what students want. We need to listen to the students, and having those relationships allowed us to get that removed from their agenda. That is how you get the job done. And, while Ms. Vu says that she's been to Board of Regents and NSA meetings, we need to drop the S off that because it's one in the history of my time at UNLV, which, by the way, I want to give her credit because it's more Board of Regents and NSA meetings than either Mr. Windsor or Cole Turner have shown up to. So this is not something you do because you want to win an election. This is something you do because you care about the issues. And I was going to Board of Regents meetings before I was ever in CSUN because I'm a student first, and it bothers me when they raise my tuition. It bothers me when they raise my fees. And I'm going to speak out about that.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Turner, the same question to you. An important part of being student body president is working with faculty, university administrators, the Board of Regents, and legislators. Please describe your current relationship with any or all of those groups and how you, as president, would deepen and strengthen those bonds.
Well, as Mark said, most important thing is you are not able to necessarily learn how to strengthen relationships on the job. It's something that begins beforehand. But there is opportunity for you to still have the chance to speak to them as a student body president. If some normal student goes up to it or to the Board of Regents is not going to necessarily listen to them as much as the student body president going up to them. As to strengthen the relationships with them, it is something that you do on a one-on-one level. It's not you speak to them broad, you don't go in and address all of them at once. It's you meet them individually. You speak to them. You speak to them not only when something you need is happening, but when there are just common issues up or something. You address your opinions on everything, and you get to know theirs, and you form a bond with the person. It's not something that you only use when you need, and that is the way that I would like to strengthen it, is to go through and meet faculty and to meet all of the Board of Regents people, to meet the Nevada State legislators. It's just one of those things that it does take time to develop, but put in the position of student body president, you get a fast track to a relationship with them, and it is up to you in that position to strengthen it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Could I have a rebuttal, please?
Yes, absolutely. Opportunity for rebuttal.
Thank you. So I've had coffee and meals with legislators and members of the Board of Regents, and the relationships that I've built with them already exist. I remember last year when I was running for this position, and I remember the debate I had last year against my opponent. And when asked how she planned to represent students without having a relationship with the UNLV administration, the Board of Regents, and the state legislature, her answer was, I don't need to have those relationships to be the voice of students. And I have to say that today on this panel, it feels like deja vu. The fact of the matter is, I have that experience already, I have those relationships already, and I will continue to use those to represent students to the best of my ability, and I believe I've done that during my time as student body president.
Can I have a rebuttal?
And, yes, we'll go in alphabetical order again. So, Mr. Turner.
Never once did anybody up here mention we don't need those relationships. That was never said by any of us. We all acknowledge the fact that it is an important thing. We do need to be able to have a relationship with the Board of Regents, with faculty, and with any lawmakers in the state. Thank you.
Ms. Fu.
I know that President Ciarola has been having, a lot of experience with Nevada Board of Regents and legislature, and, I know that, he probably has more of a personal relationship with them just because he's known them longer. I understand that. But, what he failed to mention to you this year is that, 80% of the NSA meeting or Nevada Board of Regents meetings, he was not there. And you can look this up, if you go Google and if you look on their agenda and their minutes, especially for the Nevada Student Alliance meetings, he has not been there 80% of the time. And I was there at the meeting on Thursday, and quoting from, one of the student body president, Alex Porter, he said that, there's a lot of decisions that could have been made differently if President Ciovola was there at the meeting to make these decisions with them. And he quoted that 80% of the time, President Ciovola was not there, and thank you.
Thank you. The
Can I have
final,
a second rebuttal, please?
yeah, we will, we'll get to you after Mr. Roy Windsor Jr.
Thank you.
All right, I just want to fact check President Ciovola. First off, I've been to 3 Board of Regents meetings in my career here at UNLV, one with former President Sarah Sines, one with Director Sears, and one with former Senator Corey Bradley on the funding formula. So I just want to make sure he knows that before he makes false accusations. And then second off, I just want to say, obviously Mark Ciovola might have more experience with the Board of Regents because like his experience, he is older than us. I'm not calling out his age, but like we're all 20 years old, so we don't really have time to really do that. We're college students. We're trying to build ourselves up now and get those to the status he's at. So I don't really see that as a fault to us. We're trying to make those relationships. So I think that's something that we should be commended on. And he's trying to like degrade us for that. So I just don't appreciate that. Thank you.
An opportunity. This is your second rebuttal, President Ciovola.
Thank you. I think this election is about being able to represent students, and I don't think it's degrading to point out that I have more experience and better relationships in order to do that. I think that's what this what this election is about, and I think that students want to know who has what experience. I would remind Mr. Windsor that the funding formula meeting he attended with Ms. Bradley was a funding formula meeting and not a Board of Regents meeting. However, to address Ms. Vu's point about NSA meetings, the NSA decided to schedule their meetings at the same time or just prior to our CSUN Senate meetings. This year has been a very busy year for passing a constitution, campus-wide Wi-Fi, many other proposals that has required my presence in those meetings and in committee meetings, and I represent the students here at UNLV before I represent NSA. And so I've sent people in my place to NSA meetings. I have been at every Board of Regents meeting in Las Vegas. The 2 that took place outside of Las Vegas, I was unable to travel to, so I sent our vice president, which, by the way, is something that was mentioned in the last debate, that if the president's not able to attend, he should send someone from his executive board. That's exactly what we did, and students were represented.
Thank you. We'll move on to the third question of the evening. We will begin with Mr. Roy Windsor Jr. for this question. Mr. Windsor, what specific policies would you as student body president champion in order to increase specific student services and or augment the campus community? Please indicate also how you would specifically promote and develop support for your proposed changes. The key word here is specifics.
Okay, well, first off, my main goal is to really bring representation back to CSUN. I feel like a lot of students don't really have a voice at CSUN. A lot of students I've talked to have gone up to CSUN for different topics and things and just felt like they got shut off from CSUN. I feel like one of the main things is just being that person to pretty much set the momentum for CSUN of pretty much we're open to all students' ideas. And if I personally don't agree with it, I wouldn't let that affect the decision CSUN could possibly make. One of the main things I really hope to accomplish is to create more committees under the student body president that will represent different organizations like Greek Life, environmental concerns, diversity initiatives and things like that, which would have to get passed through Senate, obviously. But those are the things that I really want to focus on, is just having students feel comfortable enough to come to CSUN for anything they need, and for us to provide any kind of resource we can. Because students are paying into CSUN, they're paying to have themselves represented, and I don't see that happening right now. So my main thing is just to kind of involve CSUN into being more of a representation of students and not just a political machine. Thank you.
Thank you. President Ciovola, the same question to you. What specific policies would you as student body president champion in order to increase specific student services and or augment the campus community? Please also indicate how you would specifically promote and develop support for your proposed changes. The key word is please be specific.
Sure. So, you learn a lot as student body president. You learn what things need to be improved upon. That was one of the ideas behind forming the Greek caucus, which I'm happy to hear Mr. Windsor supports. One of the things that I have seen happen is that there's not been follow through in the past on some of the things that CSUN has done. For example, we were supposed to see an increase in student services. Shorter lines at financial aid was the quote. when we received our 8% tuition increase in December of 2011, which was championed by our former student body president, Sarah Sines. I don't believe that we should be looking at restoring faculty pay and finding other ways to spend additional revenues before we give students the promises that they were expecting. Another area where I think we could be a little bit better is in our textbook reserve program. As textbooks become so much more expensive, it's a great program that we have where students can go to the library and check these books out instead of purchasing them. But I think we need to expand that. And I think we need to expand it into some colleges that aren't currently represented in the textbook reserve program, especially in the sciences and engineering, where the books are exponentially more expensive. Those are just two ideas, and obviously, as has been said up here before, talking through with students, we find out many, many more issues that exist on campus and many more ways that we can serve them better.
Okay, thank you. The question now to you, Mr. Cole-Turner. What specific policies would you as student body president champion in order to increase specific student services and or augment the campus community? Please also indicate how you would specifically promote and develop support for your proposed changes. Please be specific.
One of the big issues that we've been pushing towards in my campaign is some form of textbook reform. We know that we aren't going to be able to change bookstore prices or address anything along those lines. The textbook reserve is a great way, but as it stands now, there aren't books for everybody. You can go to the library and not find the book you need. And as Mark Stuvel hinted at, that needs to either be increased or just leave it alone or demolish it and go towards something new. One of the new ways that we came up with the specific way we came up with to fix it, we actually gathered from a CSN project that took place there, and it would be a textbook reform website in which students registered at UNLV could log on, post the books they have, the books they need, and sell and trade and buy from within students rather than having to go to a bookstore to do so. That's one of the ways that I would like to fix textbooks and give them more of an opportunity to save money and help each other out rather than spend money at a bookstore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Von Vu, the same question to you. What specific policies would you as student body president champion in order to increase specific student services and or augment the campus community? Please indicate how you would specifically promote or develop support for those proposed changes as well.
Thank you. One of the things that I want to change this year is, to have more student outreach on what services that CSUN has already offering. One of the things that a lot of students don't know about is the legal service. We pay $15,000 each year for this person to give students advices, on legal terms, and, only about 150 students use it every year. And, I think it's something that we need to put on the CSUN website and be like, hey, the service is here for you, and especially, more outreach for scholarships. One of the things that I want to, hopefully implement this year is, maybe having a traveling scholarship to, for organizations to conferences. Just because I know that, conferences, let's just say, especially, for college of engineering or college of science students, these conferences can be very, very important because it can in turn help UNLV build, the programs and help us, to get on the map to be a better university on the west side of our country. Thank you.
Okay. Opportunity for a rebuttal from anyone? I believe you've used your two already. I apologize.
It's not per question.
No, sir.
Oh, I was not aware of that. Thank you.
Well, in any case, I have a follow-up question, actually, for each of you. I'd like to burrow into a couple of the specifics here. I will go in the same order that the question was asked. I believe I started with
Right.
Mr. Windsor, is that correct? Mr. Roy Windsor Jr., you indicated that you would like more committees that represent student organizations on the campus. Do you feel that this is not being done already? And if you think that that's the case, what specifically would you do to make it happen?
I currently do not feel that a lot of the people I mentioned before are represented well. We have a lot of Greeks who run for Senate to represent Greek life, and I think that's something that I personally don't agree with because you're taking away from those students who should have their representation. My thing on the Greek life committees is having two Greek life representatives, kind of like senators that represent that committee, so Greek life has a vote. Different things like environmental committee, you have that committee with that representative who have pretty much voiced those issues for environmental rights and things like that. Organizations like Take Back the Tap, things like that. I think that's something that really lacks in CSUN and takes away from its diversity. My biggest thing is a lot of the student organizations I've talked to that I mentioned just now feel like CSUN shuns them away, and they don't really have any kind of say or any kind of body to go to help surpass their issues and things like that. So that's why I really believe that having these committees and just these different representatives will benefit the student population as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. President Ciavola, the statement that you made indicated that you felt like in prior administrations there wasn't follow through on some of the promises that they made. Specifically, you had said that we shouldn't increase faculty salaries until some of those promises are fulfilled. A, do you intend to keep promises made by prior administrations? And B, how specifically would you create smaller lines at financial aid if that's the case?
Sure. So, I mean, obviously, the student body president doesn't have the power to create shorter lines at financial aid. However, when a student body president advocates for a tuition increase because that seems to be what we need to be able to improve student services, and then those student services are not improved, that's a problem. And I've had meetings about this, and we've talked about it, and I'm assured that it's coming, and all of these things, but we need to actually see it. And it's not the only thing. I mean, I spoke with the game club a couple of weeks ago, and they're still waiting for TVs to be replaced in the game room, which we passed a year ago. These are things that have fallen through the cracks, and it's just not acceptable. As far as outreach to students, I just want to mention that scholarships, $250,000 in scholarships is an amazing way to give back to students, and we've increased scholarship applications from 58 last year to 250 this year, which I think is phenomenal. And we do currently sponsor student organizations to go to conferences, and so creating a scholarship for that would be a redundancy in CSUN because we already have a sponsorship budget for that purpose.
Thank you. Mr. Turner, follow-up for you. You mentioned textbook reform as a hallmark of your campaign, one of your priorities. Do you really believe that textbook costs are the primary problem facing UNLV students today?
It is a primary problem because students are spending upwards, it depends on the college of each student, but students spend close to $500 depending on how many credits they're taking. I personally spent over $500 on textbooks this semester alone. It's an issue that is facing students because as a college student, as a 18 to 37-year-old, bringing that much money out of your pocket is a difficult job to do. Finding that much money at the start of every semester is difficult for me personally to do. And I believe that a lot of students will have that problem, and it is an issue that students would like to see reformed or a new format for it to be done.
Okay. And the last follow-up is for Ms. Vu. You mentioned outreach and certain scholarship projects. How specifically would you increase outreach to the student body above and beyond what you feel the current administration has done?
I feel like our former Vice President pro tempore, Omar, he has been doing an amazing job. He was the person that went out there, printing out thousands and thousands of applications, to organizations, and pretty much saying that, hey, you guys need to, apply for this. And I know like Senator Hicks and other senators has been like marketing that as well, but I think that because the thing is right now, we have an email server that is only student body president can use, and I have not seen any emails from our student body president currently, and I think that's something that we need to change. Thank you.
Okay. For the fourth question, we will begin with, President Mark Ciavola. The question is this. The student body president is obviously the iconic representative of all UNLV students. Please describe how you see yourself representing both CSUN and the UNLV student body.
Well, I think that it's one and the same. I mean, CSUN is the student body, and the student body elects us to represent them, and we do what we feel is best for them based on the input they give us. We all have our personal views within CSUN, and there have been many times where myself and others have acted differently within CSUN than we believe in our personal lives because it's what students want. I think that the best thing you can do is represent CSUN in a professional manner. Let people know what CSUN is, what it does, how it represents students, and how students can take advantage of the many resources that we provide, and those resources are growing by the day. I think as far as representing the student body, we need to have a voice that is strong with our administration here at UNLV, the Board of Regents, the state legislature, even with the community surrounding UNLV. And so students don't always agree on all the issues, and so that makes our job a little more difficult, figuring out where we need to come down on some issues. But I truly believe they're one and the same. And I would just mention in response to something that was said earlier, the student body president does have access to an email list for emergencies only. You're allowed to send 1 email per month. You're not allowed to advertise. And Ms. Vu would know that if she came to the STAB committee meetings, but she doesn't. So thank you.
Thank you. The same question to you, Mr. Cole Turner. Student body president is obviously the iconic representative of all UNLV students. How would you, as president, represent both CSUN and the UNLV student body?
As Mark said, you do it. When you represent CSUN, you represent the student body, and when you represent the student body, you're representing CSUN. The big thing about as being the student body president is you're the voice for the campus, for UNLV as a whole, whether it's an on-campus class or someone who takes one online. You represent everybody when you're doing so. You, as the student body president, the big thing is being a strong leader throughout the entire city, not just the city as well, throughout the state, representing your school, the university, in all aspects throughout the state. If it's going to Board of Regents meetings and speaking up for something that does not benefit students, that will hurt students and hurt UNLV as a whole, that is what needs to be done. And if it means going up north to Carson City to speak out against something, that is what a student body president has to do to represent both the UNLV student body and UNLV CSUN. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vu, same question to you. UNLV, or the student body president is obviously the iconic representative of all UNLV students. How would you as president represent CSUN and the UNLV student body?
Thank you. And especially I want to get myself out there, as the face of UNLV, and I want to be able to, to work with Nevada Board of Regents and, the legislature and, NSA and, UNLV staff in general, collaboratively. And I think that it's something that, you want that reputation, because you want people to know that UNLV is strong internally, like CSUN is strong and we're organized. And I think that has been failing in this, current executive board. And that's something that I want to improve. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roy Windsor Jr., the same question to you. The student body president is obviously the iconic representative of all UNLV students. How would you, as president, represent CSUN and the UNLV student body?
Well, CSUN, first off, I'll represent all of our students pretty much in a very positive manner. I say this a lot, like you have to be a social person. You can't really just be professional. Like obviously you can be professional 100% of the time, but you have to be outgoing. You have to be able to have students approach you. You can't just be serious all the time, and that's something I'm really not. And just wearing a suit right now, like I have to do this if I go to like Board of Regents meetings, things like that, but like I'm a real student just like you guys. Like I'm gonna be like, what's up, how are you doing today? What do you want to talk? Let's talk. Like I'm not gonna just sit up here like, well, I'm gonna cut all this money for you guys, and you know what, and tuition is going up. Like no, like that's gonna happen, but you have to be a positive person. CSUN is just so political right now, and it's just so much about government. Like people need to realize that we're all students. Like we're all trying to graduate eventually. Like we're not gonna be here for the rest of our lives in student government. So pretty much, I'm gonna represent CSUN in a positive way. If I have to go to Board of Regents to talk about something serious, I'll be serious. But for 99% of the times, I'm gonna be Roy, just like you guys know, laughing and joking around with you. And I'm not gonna be like, hey guys, like, I'm really, really serious and you guys have to be like that all the time. No, you're not gonna wanna talk to me. If I'm like, what's up? Like, how are you doing? You're gonna wanna come up and talk to me. I mean, most likely you will. I'm a pretty outgoing person. So that's how I represent CSUN and UNLV in a very positive way. And I won't have like a lot of negative things being put out of CSUN like it is now. And like, I'll wait for my ending to talk about that, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have about half an hour, 25 minutes left, which is more than enough time for the closing statements. With everyone's agreement, I'll ask one fifth question. It's not a curveball, I promise. If that's okay with everyone?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I will admit, I've lost my place. Who did I ask first?
You guys said
You asked
last
Coulter.
with me.
Okay, so it's, the first question goes to President Civola, is that correct?
No, to me.
I'm sorry, to Mr. Turner. All right, so the last question, which I wrote an optional one just in case we have time, is this. If you were elected, what role do you envision CSUN playing in students' lives over the next year?
I see CSUN playing the role, or rather, let's see. I see CSUN as something that is going to make every student at UNLV's experience better and more positive, and what some would describe as a college experience, not just coming and leaving campus every day. CSUN's job, in my opinion, is to better the experience at UNLV. How you do that is it varies depending on what the students are, who they are that you're trying to help out to enjoy each aspect of their life. And so, for me, in order to benefit students, there are going to be a lot of different roles to go, a lot of different entertainment things you put on, a lot of different clubs that you have to speak to help out, and that is what I would like to do to help CSUN benefit students.
Thank you. Ms. Vu, the same question to you. If you're elected, what role do you envision CSUN playing in students' lives over the next year?
You know, I'm very excited about, giving back to the students and make things more fun. Obviously, I agree with Cole that I think we should have more concerts, more events that, give students the college life they deserve. I want to be able to give more scholarships because I know more people, need the money and they need students to give back to them. Also, I want UNLV to start becoming the campus that everyone is proud of, and the campus that everyone's we want to stay on campus because we have fun things to do. And I think that this will be the year that this will start changing and improving. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roy Windsor Jr., the same question to you. If you're elected, what role do you envision CSUN playing in students' lives over the next 2 years?
I'm going to use my personal experience first off. I came to UNLV in 2010, and my SOAR orientation leader was Carly Shadid, who was the campus life director at the time. And just spending that day with her, she pretty much got me involved with CSUN. She was the main person who was just CSUN's a really cool organization. We do a lot of cool things. She was that positive person who pretty much impacted my life and put me down on this path of just being involved with student government and being involved at UNLV. When I was in CSUN for the 2 years it was one of the best experiences of my life. I made a lot of friends. I gained a lot of confidence in myself. I pretty much wasn't the same person I was when I came to UNLV. That's something I think students can benefit from. I want CSUN to be that place where students can come to UNLV and be like, wow, when you graduate, you walk across that stage, you're like, wow, CSUN did a lot of stuff for me. I remember the tailgate that CSUN put on when we all had fun and I met my best friend, or that date night that CSUN put on and I met my fiance. I want CSUN to be that place where you have those memories when you graduate from college, because right now CSUN's really not doing anything they're doing positive things, but they're not really giving any lifelong things that you're going to remember that they used to do. I want to bring that back to UNLV. I want you to be proud of CSUN. I want you to be proud to be a rebel. I want you to be proud of the things that student government provided for you. And that's one of the main things I'm going to focus on if I do become student body president. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, President Ciavola, the question to you. If re-elected, what role do you envision CSUN playing in students' lives over the next year?
Well, I think everyone up here agrees that CSUN needs to improve your campus life, your college experience, your UNLV experience. And I think during my first term, that's what we've done. We brought back bus rides to home football games. We had tremendously successful tailgate events with the help of Cole Turner as our assistant campus life director. We had 2 Rebel road trips this year, one for football to San Diego in the fall, one to Reno this past weekend, which was amazing. I know comments have been made that insinuate that may not be fun, but I had people singing the chorus to Thrift Shop in the aisle for free prizes. I had them impersonating animals. One girl did a monkey and brought out bananas that she got at a gas station. We had a ton of fun. And some people would like to make this about issues that aren't pertinent to the student body, like age. You know, yes, of course, I'm a non-traditional student. I don't hide that fact, but I promise not to make this about age. I'm not going to use the youth and inexperience of my opponents against them. You know, I think the important thing that we do is that we focus on bringing to life some of those things here at UNLV that CSUN does have control over. We're working on a year-end concert that we hope will be the premiere of the spring semester. That can be a recurring event where we have this giant concert/festival every year that students look forward to. You know, we're working on that currently. We had a comedy event last semester. We've had parties in the PIDA every month. There were 2 last month. Like I said, 750 students come. So I think we've done tremendous things to improve campus life, make sure that we are having fun, and we'll continue to do that in my second term.
Can I have a rebuttal?
Yes, you may.
Okay. First off, I just want to talk about the comedy event that we spent $20,000 on, and we had maybe 80 people there. That's not really improving.
It was
anybody's-
500 people, by the way.
Actually, it was $40,000.
But you weren't there,
One
so.
one at a time, please. Mr. Windsor has.
Okay. Well, back to what I was saying before I was
1 minute.
interrupted. All those things that CSUN's really been doing it's okay. It's pretty much the same thing that they've been doing since I've been here. You have to get to know your students to see what they actually want, because I've talked to a lot of students about different things that CSUN's been doing. They're like, you know what, I don't really like to be around a lot of people like that, and I'd rather be in like a little closed environment talking to people like that. You have to know your students to provide things for them. You can't just keep doing the same thing and taking credit for it. Also, all these things that have been mentioned were kind of done right before election season, so I find that kind of ironic. And now this concert that Mr. Civola opposed when I was a freshman is he's trying to do now, which I think is very hypocritical. Like, you can't really start doing all these things for students right before election season and expect them to vote for you because you actually care for them instead of strategy. So thank you.
Thank you.
He covered it. We're good.
Rebuttal? Okay. Okay, we now have time for closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement, and we will work again in reverse alphabetical order, starting with Mr. Roy Windsor Jr.
Okay, so pretty much I kind of aired a lot of stuff out. This election is really important to a lot of us on this stage. It's pretty much, you're either going to vote for, I don't want to sound ironic, but you're going to vote for change or you're going to vote for the same thing that's happening. Like, Mr. Civola has been in office for a whole year, and the only thing they've really accomplished is cutting a budget. I haven't seen really anything new come out of CSUN. I haven't seen anything exciting come out of CSUN. I've been a regular student this whole year, so I've seen a lot of negativity. If President Civola actually knew how to run CSUN, we wouldn't be facing a lawsuit right now. You have to start killing you have to kill the cycle to start fresh. Like, if you want somebody who's gonna pretty much be that person in CSUN to make it a positive place again, then I would say vote for me. If you wanted to continue to do the same negative things, then you can vote for Mark Civola. It's that simple. I hope you all do vote and make sure you actually like get to know the candidates. Like, right after this, I'll be outside if you guys want to talk to me. I'm pretty open to that. If you have questions, I'll answer them. But like, hit me on Facebook if you don't want to talk to me in person. Like, text me. My number's on there. Just make sure you guys actually vote. Make sure you get involved with CSUN. Don't just be on Facebook like talking mess. Like, that's not going to accomplish anything. If you want to see something change, you have to do it. So, thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Vu, you have Ms. Vu, your closing statement, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I totally agree. And, it's one of those things that I believe that our students deserve better this coming up year. And I totally believe that I deserve better as a student, and all of us too. And I think one of the things that, this executive board has been doing is just bringing so much negativity into CSUN, so much politics, because, just to show this is a Rasmussen report. Okay, this is a national political pundit. Like, this guy, like Harry Reid listened to this guy, okay? So it's one of these things that's getting so political that it's not about the students anymore, and I think that it's not fair for us, and I think that we need change. And it's one of those things that, we all agree here that we want to give back to the students, and we want to enhance student life, and I think that you should vote for me because I will deliver that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Please hold your applause until the end. We'll have a chance to applaud for all candidates. The next closing statement is from Mr. Cole Turner, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to thank you all for coming out and listening to us. It's very nice to see that students are actually trying to get involved and care about what we have to say and what we want to do for this university. As for myself, if elected to student government body, or student body president, we can all stand up and say up here that we want to change campus life, this is what we want to do, and that it shouldn't be political. We know politics are going to come into it, and a big thing of it we are going to have to face political issues as the student body president. And that is one thing that I believe I will be able to do, is to be able to go to the Board of Regents, go to all the places where politics are what are happening, and be able to defend the students at UNLV. On top of that, I will be able to bring campus life to this campus, or to this university, and to be able to expand the experience here and make everybody a lot happier as a student at UNLV. Thank you.
Thank you. The final closing statement is for President Ciavola. 2 minutes.
Okay, first I'd like to thank everyone for coming and everyone watching who was not able to be here in person. I think it's important that everyone vote. These elections are important, and this is the future of your student government. I've heard a lot of things up here today. I have heard about the negativity in CSUN, yet no one has really listed too many specifics. I've heard that we haven't done anything, yet I listed 20 or 25 things in my opening statement that we've done, and I don't think any of those are nothing or negative. I have heard that my opponents would like to increase campus life, and again, as I said, there's a position for that. It's called Campus Life Director. I happen to think Mr. Turner would make a great one. I fully backed him to be an assistant campus life director last year, and I've enjoyed working with him. The common theme up here, if you pay close attention to what everyone is talking about, the common theme from all of my opponents is that they're not Mark Ciavola. And I have to agree, they're not. Because I am the only candidate in this race with the experience and the relationships to represent students with the administration, the Board of Regents, and the state legislature. We have done more for students in the past year than any edition of CSUN in my memory. We have done that in campus life, we've done it in scholarships, we've done it in outreach, we've done it in every measurable standard of our student government. And the only reason that students are not aware of that is because we are on a commuter campus and it is very difficult to reach out to students, which is why we have a marketing table on campus every day and why I take students to lunch every day. Because the only way students will know the truth is if we can communicate to them all of the work we're doing on their behalf. So while I appreciate everyone agreeing with a lot of the things I've been doing and committing to do many of the things I've already been doing, you don't need to elect someone who will promise to do what I'm already doing. So I ask for your support this week. If you see my campaign flyers, you'll see my phone number on them. Text me with questions, and I'll see you out here after. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the candidates, and excellent job.